So you're probably wondering why I'm laying on the fucking floor for. It's because I needed your attention, man. Shout out to Gary V for the badass sticker. Hey, look, I'm headed home. Got a little more stuff to do this evening, but I wanted to talk to you guys about hustle versus bustle, right? Like, there's so many people, and I mean, I'm even guilty of it myself, of telling you, like, to hustle, man. Like, you gotta hustle. Make sure I don't think I have my key. The thing about hustling, right, is to not fucking hustle in circles. Not to just do things for the simple fact of just being in movement. Talked to my man Keith Kalfas today about this. It's raining. When you're in business for yourself, and really, this goes for anybody in life, really. If the sole purpose of your movement is simply to create movement with no end goal in mind, you're simply wasting your time. That's the difference between hustle and bustle. You see, when I tell you to hustle, I'm trying to tell you to do shit that makes your life easier. I'm trying to tell you to do things that have a positive outcome. Let me clean the car off. Well, that made it worse. There we go. Camera was a little dirty. I'm telling you to do things that will make you grow and will create more tranquility in your life, really, is what it's all about. The fact that you grind and you hustle and that you do these things in your business or in your life, but there's no advantage to them. There's no, you're not cutting the curb any, is ludicrous. Like, you can't just go beat your head against the wall and say, well, man, that's how you put a hole in the wall. No, you sit back and you either use a hammer and a nail or a drill. There's a ton of ways to put a hole in a wall besides using your head, right? But you could say, oh, I'm using my head and I'm hustling. I need you to start thinking out your hustle. And this is something that I see often, is that entrepreneurs are terribly disorganized. They're not the greatest at getting their schedule ready to go. They're not the greatest at staying in a. Oh, shut up. If you're in business for yourself and you're not working on a schedule, like, you don't know what you're doing every day when you come to the office, you don't have your week honestly planned out, like, do this. On Sundays, start sitting down, getting in front of your calendar electronically, right? Welcome to 2017. Google Calendar, something that's easily on your phone, and start putting things on your calendar. You know, my office manager at Easy Pro and then also my executive assistant, they both have access to my calendars. So a lot of times, you know, it gets monotonous filling all those details out. But then here's some cool tricks. You get an email, right? And your local chamber or your an organization that you're a part of that are having an event going on. Well, what you can do is just take that email and forward it to your executive assistant and say, hey, put this on my calendar for me. And then you're good to go. Right, and then you're leaving, you're removing that inconsistency. I'm gonna pull over. I shouldn't drive and make videos. You guys get mad at me about that, but I hope you understand that there's a difference between hustle and bustle, right? Like, I'm not working 80 hours a week just for the sheer fucking fact of working 80 hours a week. No, every single week, I make sure that some part of that 80 hours is delegating tasks and creating new systems in my business, because eventually what I'll do is I'll build myself up and out, okay? It's like an upside down tornado. I want to suck great people in, build the systems so that they can push me up and out. That's the goal of a business. To see these guys that have been in business for 20, 30, 40 years and they're self-employed and like they're still doing the same shit that they were doing 20, 30 years ago, it's like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. The whole ideology behind creating a company, building building a business is that you fucking build something, right? Like you do something that builds you up and out. It's not to create a job. You're not creating something so that you can stay there. You're building on it. And so every day you should be building on what you did yesterday. I say all the time, the greatest thing you can do is have a 10-year plan. But the worst thing about having a 10-year plan is waking up tomorrow morning. Because if you're driven and you're ambitious, man, you want it now. That's just not the way it works. The only reason I'm back in Easy Pro is because I got rid of the lawn and landscape business, right? Like I grew it over the past 8-9 years and got rid of it. And then now we've got, the power washing company and still retain the ownership. And the margins, honestly, are a lot better. That's why I kept it. But now that I've got the marketing company, we're building systems in that. It's all about systems and processes. It's honestly the same reason why I don't manage the 72 apartment units that we have. We hire a manager so that they can do it. You don't have enough time. And that's the thing I need you to understand is that if you're an entrepreneur, the biggest benefit of being an entrepreneur is having freedom, yet so many of us trap ourselves and lock ourselves into a business and think, like, I just got to work my fucking eyeballs out of my head because I'm an entrepreneur. That's what we're supposed to do. Everybody hustles. Everybody grinds. And that's not the point at all. You should be working day in and day out to create systems and build your team up so that they can push you out of your company. You're not supposed to be there. Do you get that? Do you get that? You're not supposed to be in your company. Like, don't brag that you've been there for 10 years. Don't brag that you've been doing the same thing for 15 years. Like, that means something's broken. And if you're in year 1, 2, thinking about getting started, enter that business. Like, people will message me and they'll say, "Oh, DJ, what's the, how do I get started, man? Where do I start? Do I have, how do I get financing? How do I charge?" All of that shit should be on the very far back burner. And what you should start with, number one, is how in the hell am I going to get out of this company, and how long is it going to take me? Because the thing that is more important, actually the only thing that's more important than your return on capital, is your return on your time. Because a 300% return on my money, if it takes me 15 years to get that, isn't that great of a return. Because now I've spent 15 years of my life doing something, and an opportunity cost has now maybe went out the window. What could have I done in those other 15 years to possibly enjoy life a little better? So don't let me mistake you. Don't let me confuse you. Don't ever get misfocused on when I tell you to hustle and I tell you to grind. And if you haven't heard my saying, if you focus on your hustle and you focus on your grind, the good shit happens all the motherfucking time. If you focus on it, then it should help you move up and out of the business. And if all you're doing is grinding for the sake of grinding, and you're going home and you're wore out, and your spouse never sees you or your girlfriend never sees you, and so your relationships are shit because you never get to be around your family or your friends or your significant other. If your money is good, but that's the only good thing in your life, then you're not living a good life, my friend. You have to have some type of balance. Nobody can tell you what that balance is, okay? I'm not trying to preach to you and tell you to live a certain way. But if all you have is financial gain in your life, you're missing out on relationships, and you're missing out on your spirituality, and you're missing out on your health and your fitness, and you're missing out on your emotional stability, you got a lot of work to do. And a lot of times you have to take time for yourself as entrepreneurs because we grind so hard. If you're ambitious and you're hungry and you're out there hustling, like, you have to understand you're the fucking racehorse. Without you, it all stops. So take care of yourself. Make sure you're hustling smart, right? I saw Ty Lopez say this the other day, is that it's like computer programming. It's the minimum amount of input for the maximum amount of output. So, hustling versus bustling.